there are so many things that went wrong with this investigation. These claims, they are especially disturbing since Rex Heuermann continued to contact sex workers as recently as this year. I'm joined by two people who know a lot about the infighting in this case. Gus Garcia-Roberts is the investigative reporter for The Washington Post who broke the story and the author of the book, Jimmy the King. And Alexis Linkletter is a podcaster who has questioned the police response to the Gilgo Beach murders on her show Unraveled, the Long Island serial killer. Gus, let me start with you. I mean, what an article. What a read. So detailed, so much sourcing. I don't even know where to begin with the problems. It seems like this was really a problem with leadership in many ways. Was it just the local police not wanting anyone else to come in and assist?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I mean, I think that, few people that were familiar with the Gilgo case would be under the illusion that the investigation was well handled, throughout its more than a decade history. But the way it's been touted by the previous DA out there was that, since he sort of took over in 2017, between then and 2021, that it was a high-tech investigation that was sort of leading towards the victory here in 2023, where somebody's finally in cuffs. But speaking to lots of police sources, law enforcement sources on both sides of the divide, including that DA, Tim Sinney, really what myself and my colleague Alex Linkletter came across was that, in fact, there was just major infighting and dysfunction that delayed the case. And what it really boiled down to was the prosecutors were trying to pursue sort of this high-tech investigation in which they were trying to hone in on somebody who they knew lived in the Massapequa Park, New York area, while homicide detectives did not want to be told how to investigate, were trying to investigate outside of that area, thought the prosecutors were trying to make them go over leads and suspects that they had already ruled out. And the result of that was basically an impasse. And eventually, the lead detective, which this had not been previously reported, the lead detective who had been in charge of the case, been on the case for about a decade, was actually removed. And the reason that Tim Sinney, the former DA, gave was because he refused to cooperate with the FBI, which, as I'm sure we'll get into, is sort of is a familiar story out there in Suffolk County of the local investigators refusing to cooperate with federal authorities.
One of the things, Alexis, that I found the most confusing is you had this claim from a friend of one of the victims that she says that she gave the description of Rex Heuermann's car early on, and that it was basically overlooked by the detectives, that they had this key piece of evidence very early on that could have helped solve this, but apparently no one paid attention to it. At one point recently, police have sort of disputed that. Where does that stand right now? I mean, did they have the evidence? Do we know?
So the witness was actually a male witness, and he was spoken to in 2010 after the remains of Amber Costello were found and they started investigating her murder. And he did give a description of the Chevy Avalanche, and all of that's detailed in the bail application court documents. So there's little dispute as to whether they had this evidence back in 2010. They absolutely did. And I do think the dysfunction within the department, which has existed since the discovery of a Long Island serial killer, was the reason it was overlooked. I mean, this is not new, this infighting. Back in 2011, the now jailed and disgraced DA, Tom Spoda, was arguing publicly with Richard Dormer, the police commissioner at the time, about whether there was one serial killer or two. I mean, they were arguing publicly about this in press conferences, and nothing has appeared to have changed. What I will say, though, is Tim Sinney, I know, wanted to solve this case. However, I do think the people that came in after, the DA and the new police commissioners, they had a huge mess to clean up from James Burke and Tom Spoda. So I think this has just been pervasive in the department's history, really. Even prior to James Burke, there's been this kind of dysfunction in this police department.
One of the things that I found interesting, Gus, in your article, you talk about the fact that at one point they were zeroing in on a police officer, that was someone who they actually believed was a suspect. Do you think that that was just a huge distraction from the person who they should have been going after?
Right, and so this was sort of a glimpse of the false turns and dysfunction that were going on in the department in recent years, unbeknownst to the public. The DA's office had narrowed down using cell phone data. They had narrowed down the area to a small part of Massapequa Park, and were trying to background residents of that small area. And one of the top suspects in 2021, which happened to be an election year for Tim Cini, was a ex-police officer whose initials happened to match a belt that bound one of the victims in the case. And detectives did not want to investigate this guy. They said that they had already felt that they had ruled him out. And so this was sort of an example of the kind of disagreements that they came across that essentially wasted time. Now, there's always going to be suspects that you're going to want to background and rule out. That doesn't, that in itself is not dysfunction, but they cannot just get to that point. This massive law enforcement jurisdiction, very high tech toys, could not do the low tech job of sort of backgrounding each person. And so my understanding is they basically stalled on this ex-cop who is, we now know was just a red herring, and he's been ruled out. Rex Heuermann lived about 3 blocks away from that ex-cop, which shows how close they were and also how far they were.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.